Hello, everyone. Today I'm joined by Meryanne Loum-Martin, the owner of the world-renowned Jnane Tamsna, a beautiful boutique hotel located in Marrakech, Morocco. How are you doing today, Meryanne?
Hello, Tony. I'm doing very well. I'm very happy to see you.
Very happy to see you also. So, your background is quite unique. You're a Black French Caribbean Senegalese woman who has created an extraordinary boutique hotel in Marrakech. What was the entrepreneurial vision that led you to acquire raw land and develop it into what is known as Jnane Tamsna?
Thank you very much for this question. In fact, being from Paris, Marrakech has always been a very iconic destination in Parisian circles because, there were Yves Saint Laurent and other people who were here and people connected to style and design. And when I came to Marrakech at first, I was very lucky to have a friend who opened doors for me because he also had a house here. And I could see the reality of Marrakech, which was absolutely fascinating. And the general tourist had no clue about the reality of the city because then, you only had big hotels, and big hotels, as much as they are needed for a lot of things, they are unable to connect people to the local culture because this would require, a much more smaller group than the amount of people they're dealing with. So I thought, it's incredible that this place has so much to give, such an incredible culture. And people would never come back, because they would come, they would wonder, why is this place so famous? And they thought, okay, I did it, I didn't get it, bye bye. And in the last years, because of all of the small accommodation, human size opportunities which developed, the return rate has exploded. So in fact, my idea was I had the vision of what the type of hospitality I was looking for was, and it was absolutely not existing. So I thought, okay, I'll create that. So,
Interesting.
but it was really to feel a niche, which was very in my intuition. I didn't follow a business plan. I just knew there's no reason why it should not work because it is just there. So it was about establish the connection with the modern traveler and the existing culture.
Interesting. And Jnane Tamsna is often described as more than just a hotel, but a cultural experience. Can you share the philosophy behind creating a space that goes beyond traditional hospitality?
Well, traditional hospitality is about selling room nights. So you have levels of luxury, whether you have marble or no marble or spacing. But I'm a total accidental hotelier, never went to any hospitality school. I'm doing this because one thing led to another. So I'm really doing it my own way. My husband is fascinated about gardens, and he has created an extraordinary garden. Which people come from far to visit. And I'm passionate about architecture, so I did the architecture and the interior design of the property. But all of this is really, how could I explain it? It was all intuition. It was all very, very personal ideas. Um, nothing is by the book in what we do. Nothing. Because we didn't go to the right schools to have a book about hospitality. I'm a lawyer, he's an academic. We have nothing to do with hospitality. And this is why, and we're both passionate about culture, this is why we express what we like in our hotel.
Mm.
So this place, some people say it's a cultural hub, it's a cultural space, because there's a constant atmosphere of a salon because of the quality of guests we have. We organize a lot of writing retreats. There's musicians in residency, there's artists in residency, and the guests always say that, whenever they come to get Jnane Tamsna, and we are lucky because we have a lot of guests coming back and again, they said we always meet the most incredible people here. And so this has happened in a very spontaneous way over the years. And because we're so passionate about culture, it's very often culture. So some guests say, yes, it's a cultural space which happens to have beautiful rooms and very good food, but it's not the other way around.
Right. And your hotel is synonymous with luxury at this point, and you've often spoken about redefining African luxury on your own terms. Could you explain what African luxury means to you in today's, I guess, context?
I think that African luxury and luxury in general is about authenticity. It's about things that money cannot buy. It's about emotions. It's about feelings. It's about experiences. And there's so much to be done in Africa because, you know, for centuries, it was a destination. I'm talking about the continent in general, not
Mhm.
Morocco. It was a destination which had been reduced to wildlife and beaches because we were not supposed to be very interesting people. We were not supposed to have much of a culture. And what I believe is the real luxury for me now is to create a link to the urban culture, to the modern culture. For example, if I was going to East Africa, I would be more interested about discovering the art galleries and the music scene of big cities than to go and see lions, which I
Mhm.
can also see on my screen, you know? And the real life, I think that the real life and the connection to people, for me, has always been the ultimate luxury. And Africa has a lot to give on that side, really a lot.
Agreed. And you and I have spoken about entrepreneurship and business ownership many times, and you've also expressed your views and thoughts about how to incorporate other businesses into what you're doing in Marrakech. Could you give an example or kind of give your thoughts on the importance of including other businesses in your within your business, whether it be, you know, skincare, hair care, or other type, whatever makes the most sense.
Well, you know, we have been from the beginning big supporters of a local enterprise which does natural products, wonderful bath and body products. But there's also a lot to be done with craftsmanship. And craftsmanship, whether it's made by women or by men, exists all over the continent. You have, you know, I believe that the less people had financial means, the more they needed to be creative.
Mm.
And this is why the art and crafts on the continent is absolutely phenomenal. And in this sense, I think that a boutique hotel like mine, which follows my rules, our family rules, we don't care about, you know, we don't have like process that things have to be imported from there. No, we use local products and we try to integrate, first of all, we grow our own food. And because my husband has very specific methods about regenerating a very dry land, I think that all his staff of gardeners have learned so much that they could all go on their own and become really knowledgeable people being paid to consult on other properties gardens
Mm.
because they learn so much. And it's also the same thing now in next project, I'm very interested about social inclusion and education. And what I think is the most important thing is to give people a choice in life because we don't realize how privileged it is to have a choice.
Yeah.
When you don't have much, the only thing you want is to get whatever job which is going to help you feed your family. But if you have a choice of jobs, then it's already some a step towards luxury. And in my next project, we are integrating a level of education which will help people who already have skills, like women who know how to embroider or how to make jams or whatever. It's taking their natural skills much further So at the end of this, you know, process and training, they are free to start their own little company or to work for the new hotel. And this is something I'm very interested about, is how I can participate in creating new models of hospitality, which are not imposed on a piece of land, but which becomes a process of integration and inclusion of everything which is around.
Fantastic. What trends in global travel and leisure do you believe will shape the future of destinations like Marrakech?
I think it's not only about Marrakech, it's everywhere,
Mhm.
especially on the continent. I think the trends are having a real experience,
Mm,
being connected. I mean, our music, the art now, I go to art fairs, those selling for a fortune are self-taught African artists. I remember I was a moderator in an art fair, and one of the women who was on the panel was saying, we have to remember that very often, you know, the Western world artists have gone to art school, and now they are at the same level as African painters. Not all of them, but many of them are self-taught.
mm,
And so it shows the power of creativity without always needing the borders of education, you know, and putting you in a box. So I think that the trend in tourism is very much connecting the traveler with the creative power of a place, you know?
mm,
And when I go to Dakar, I think I've been to phenomenal and very spontaneous music moments where people start playing or visiting art painters workshop, and it's extraordinary, really extraordinary. I didn't have the money to buy their painting because it was so I don't like using the term expensive
mm,
because it was the right price, but I just didn't have the means to buy it, you know? But I think this is a future of tourism, erasing everything which is fake
mm,
and that is not needed to go to the heart of the identity of a place. I think
mm.
this is, yeah.
What other regions are interesting to you right now in terms of maybe opening another hotel or just doing some type of cultural work or strategic partnerships with whether it be artists or other entrepreneurs in those areas?
Well, you know, having a foot in so many diasporas of African descent, I what I'm always very interested in is a plurality and the layers of an experience. What I like about places, a lot of places in Africa and in the Caribbean, is that very often it's at a crossroad of many things. It's a space which can be understood by many people. And you know, when I see Japanese guests dancing on Burna Boy or Danish guests dancing on, you know, West Indian music, I realize the power of music and the power of culture into making people share something. And personally, if I were to do new hotels, I would love to do them on the African continent and in the Caribbean,
Mm,
because this is where we have all this mix
yeah,
that everybody can enjoy, you know?
right, right. And looking ahead, how do you see Jnane Tamsna evolving, and what new experiences are you planning to introduce to your guests?
So we launched the Diaspora Salon in February, which is about creating a networking platform for free spirits. So it is, many of them are of different African descent diasporas, but it was not only about people looking like us. And it's about celebrating excellence around various themes. And it is also about developing opportunities to do business together.
Mm.
And from the next editions, we want to have students come, find a way to sponsor HBCU students to come so they can have access and exposure to people looking like them and who went quite far in their professional achievements, because representation is so important. And also, we are very much into music, and the first morning of the diaspora salon lasted for 3 days and a half, and the first morning was dedicated to Black people in classical music.
Mm.
And we will probably always have that, because it was also something that people did not expect at all. And it was phenomenal. It was really phenomenal. So this experience goes beyond the accommodation of my hotel. People come to Marrakech for that. They buy a ticket to attend. And there's beautiful lunches and beautiful dinners and beautiful parties. So people can really connect apart from attending the conference. And nothing pleases me more than having learned that people who met at this event are now doing business together.
As someone who has been in this industry for a while now, and you've seen and you've heard everything at this point, what advice do you have for emerging hoteliers?
So my advice would be, and this is what I said when I was invited to speak at the African Club of Harvard Business School in February. My advice is hospitality doesn't need to have 200 bedrooms. Forget about that. Forget about being an investor, building a big thing and giving it to be managed to a big brand, which has nothing to do with our own culture. Create your own small boutique hotel. It doesn't mean that you cannot create a brand out of a place which would only have 45 or 50 bedrooms, but be connected with the real culture of the space. You would do it, because this is why people will come. They come to my place because they like the eclectic style, but also because they love the atmosphere. So create something which doesn't think in the box. And there's tons of possibilities when you stop thinking that hospitality has to be 200 bedrooms
Mm.
and all the rooms looking alike.
Mm.
No, so my advice would be, um, I think that Africa has a totally unexplored potential about tourism. The Caribbeans too. But go there, invest in this, because it's always good to invest in real estate anyhow. And you can create jobs for a lot of people. You can use local products, and you can create a path for foreigners to start discovering your country and loving it and coming back and maybe investing also, you know? And I think this is the advice I would give.
That's great advice. So, Meryanne, thank you so much for your time. I definitely appreciated having this conversation with you, as I usually do.
My
You,
pleasure, Tony.
yes, you have a great rest of the day or evening, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Take care.